Welcome to the Forensic Cop Podcast.
Sheffield United 0, Liverpool 2. What a difference a week and actually playing central defenders makes.
Yeah, I know it. Well, for the central defenders, I mean, let's not get overboard. It is Sheffield United, but it just looked like a normal defensive line. It looked like guys whose instincts were to play in that way.
Yeah, it's only Sheffield United, so yeah, we're not getting carried away. But you can certainly see, and I guess I didn't realize it at the time, but when Henderson plays in the central defense, especially, it's like the rest of the team kind of just assumes he will also play some type of midfield role, so they don't play that part themselves. And you can see today with two defenders at the back, the midfielders just went about the midfield role.
Yeah. So first of all, to be clear, it looked like Liverpool from beginning to end had the intent to win. And not to say they come out other days not wanting to win, but this one they looked much more driven than they have in other games.
And also, Sheffield didn't sit back, so it was nice to watch a reasonable game at last with involving Liverpool.
So I would agree, but I also am wondering about Liverpool's strategy. So if you ask me, I actually think Liverpool changed. Okay, so first of all, Klopp clipped the same lineup, so he's not changing that much. But it did look like we weren't no longer just trying to build until we got their whole team in the box. It looked like we definitely had a different strategy going today, where we tried to make quick passes up and get the defense when it wasn't set, get it when everybody wasn't back, try to make stretch passes. Like, it definitely looked like we were trying different things. And to your point, Sheffield didn't just sit back. And so I think that helped too.
Yeah, it's nice to see that they've been trying a few new routines or strategies in training, because clearly what we've been trying for the past 2 months does not work. So that was nice to see. And I think having the central defenders at the back really did help just to maintain some consistency. And I didn't think they were bad. I mean, they weren't the greatest. There were a few dodgy moments. Kabak, I think, gets turned a little bit too easily, but maybe that's just him being 20 and he'll learn, because that's exactly how Richarlison scored last week.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I don't want to be too hard on them, because you're right. Both of them, Kabak is 20 and Nat Phillips is the old guard at 23 who's playing in his first EPL season. So, we got to keep it in mind. Don't forget the fact that I think Kabak this is his second win in 60 games or something like that.
I think it was 29 games.
Oh, sorry. Am I mistaken? My bad. Yeah. 30 games, 60 games. Sorry. At that point, it's just, you don't know how to win. Sorry.
And a clean sheet as well. I think that's
a clean sheet, which I guess we thank Adrian for.
I don't know. It's so like, I kind of feel for the guy, because I have no confidence when he's in net, but I guess he didn't really do too much wrong today. But I don't know. I just don't feel confident when I see him out there trying to play with his feet. And
no, playing with his feet is definitely not his strength. His strength is reading and reacting, and getting down and to the side. So like the early header that they got off a free kick in the 5th minute, that was offside, but he got in front of that really well.
Yes.
The ball that came through, I think it was in the second half, that he saw late, and he dove and he pushed it aside. Like, that's his strength. When it comes to stopping the ball, that's his strength. But I mean, to anyone who says, everybody's got injury problems and Liverpool's not special, we're playing with a 23-year-old center back in his first EPL season, a 20-year-old center back in his, 5th EPL game, and our third string keeper.
Yeah.
And we kept a clean sheet.
Not only that, but our backup keeper, I haven't even heard of him. Some kid from the under 18s, because Kelleher is injured. So that's kind of what it's come down to. Or Dridge.
Don't try to butcher the name. We're just going to go with, these are some unknowns, and how on earth are we, still in it? But I mean, look, they did. I'm not trying to read that. Their 2-0. They played well. Again, at the end of the day, even though it's a Sheffield, we've shown vulnerability to the lower teams. So, we came out and we did what we needed to do today. And I thought overall we played a pretty good game, but I still think there was a lot that we should have done better.
Well, let's start with that. The finishing. I think that we are fortunate not to have paid the price for not entering into halftime at 3-0 up.
So I'm gonna. This is a little bit crazy, and people might disagree with me, but Firmino needs to have played his last game. When your center forward cannot put away a breakaway, it's I don't care what else he does on the field. I really don't. I don't care if he's the engine. I don't care if he's the smartest man. I don't care what else he does. If your center forward doesn't score on a breakaway, he's not a center forward. Play him in the midfield. Play him wherever else you want. He needs to be gone. Like his breakaway in the first half, that should have, been where we started the game. We should have been up. It's the 7th minute or what was it, 10th minute or whatever. It was early enough that he should have had that finished.
Yes, and not only that, but even the other chance he had where
he passed it off.
Wijnaldum, right, hit it. It was saved, and his instinct is just to look for somebody in the middle when he had he had an open net, that at least go for the shot if you're a number 9 in that position.
So he didn't have an open net. He had a spot in the net. So I've rewatched all this quite a bit because I don't want to say things that are, mean when I'm wrong. But he had a spot in the net to shoot for. There were 2 guys coming across that were closing it off, the keeper and one of the defenders, but he absolutely had the time there. And the fact that his instinct was to pass that is...
that just tells you everything about why we're in this predicament. You're number 9. No, he's not just a number 9, but he's wearing the number 9 jersey. His instinct is to pass it when he has an opportunity to shoot from 2 yards out.
Yeah, and that breakaway, like I'm rewatching it over and over again as we talk, and it's just making me madder and madder. He basically, the keeper dove one way, baiting him to go the other way, and dragged his leg. And no offense to the keeper, he played a good game. But if you're the number 9 on Liverpool, you can't be tricked by that.
Yeah, and that's the type of save that now gives the keeper confidence to make more saves and more saves. And we saw that, right? All of a sudden, he grew in stature. He's not anywhere near in the top 10 goalkeepers in the league. And yet, he saved our first 5 shots because we just gave him the confidence. And if we had scored from that, the breakaway would have been a completely different story. Absolutely.
And so, what I will say is it was extremely clear that Klopp gave... instruction that the ball is to hit the net. I think our first, if I recall, 3, 4, 5 shots, something like that, all were on net. We ended the game 16 shots, 8 on net, where before we'd end 16 shots, 1 on net. So it's clear people were taking a little bit off the ball just to be able to get it on net, and I think that that's the right way to go. So changing strategy to Klopp, good. I applaud that. But, Firmino's got to finish that. And to your point, it gave the keeper confidence, and he carried that confidence through the whole first half.
Yes.
And he made some decent saves. The one on Alexander-Arnold comes to mind, where Alexander-Arnold cut in a bit, and he had a decent chance. And that keeper, a keeper who's already let one in, probably doesn't stop that.
Exactly.
Alexander-Arnold could have done better, but it was on his weaker foot.
Well, so it was on his left foot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. But absolutely, a keeper who's already worrying, I'm down one, I've already let one in, doesn't stop that. So you've got it absolutely right.
Yeah, and then also the save against Mo Salah, very similar to the miss that he had last week, where this time, I don't think he was trying to pass. I think he was trying to put it into the corner, right?
Well, okay, we'll get to Mo in a second, but I did want to finish the talk about Firmino. Oh. I'm just completely done with him. And before people get into, well, he scored today, he didn't. A, that was an own goal, which fine. B,
well, actually, it's not fine, because how do you miss from there?
You know what the thing is?
right? Is the ball that ball go? So that ball was going well wide. How is that even possible? Right?
The one that got tipped in.
Yeah. So
Yes,
if it wasn't tipped, it was
exactly.
yeah.
Firmino doesn't deserve credit for that goal. He actually deserves scorn for if the defender hadn't tipped it towards the net, it would have missed from
Yeah.
there. So here's where I'm going with the whole Firmino thing. I mean, we've talked about how he sucks and how he's not what he used to be and all this stuff. But I actually have a new thought, and you're going to be like, "That's nuts." But let me talk it through. I actually think we have a guy on the team right now who can slip into his spot, and we'd be infinitely better for it.
Jones.
Jones.
I was thinking the exact same thing today.
Did you notice on Firmino's goal how he had a little give and go with Jones to kind of set that off? Not the one to Mane where Mane tried to get the call, which good for him. I like the dive. I'm a proponent of that. But right before that, Jones was the one who had the nice little side foot flick.
Yeah.
And got it right. Unlike Firmino, who does the side foot flick and gets it wrong, Jones got it right. A, so we know he can pass. We know he has good vision. And B, that guy knows how to finish.
Knows how to finish. He's honestly, the sky's the limit for that guy.
So I was actually thinking, so I was going to talk about this later, but I'll ask now. If you told me right now, someone came to this team and said, I will pay 100 million, 200 million, whatever, for any of your players, only one is off limits, who would you say? I would say him.
Wow.
I'd give up Alexander Arnold before I'd give him up.
Van Dijk?
No.
Allison?
No.
Well, I mean, it's easy to say these things now because
you know what the thing is.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's your point, which is the sky's the limit. Allison, I know what I'm getting. Not that we can replace him, but we can win without him. Van Dijk is 28, 29 now, coming off knee surgery. Mm-hmm. We're talking Curtis Jones he's done a passably good Genie impression. And for all the flack that we give Genie's still one of the top midfielders in the world. He is phenomenal going forward. He's 20 years old, putting moves on guys who've been around forever, and they're absolutely biting and choking on them.
Yeah.
So this guy at 20 is to me better than Firmino was in his prime 3-4 years ago in terms of his vision. He sees the play and he's hungry, and you can feel the hunger off the guy. So I actually am looking and I'm saying this guy might be like the man on our team right now.
Yeah, and I think Klopp knows that, and I think in the past, like 20 years ago, when these young players come out and have a very good breakout season, they usually get run down to the ground, which is why by the time they're 25, they've kind of passed it. So I think Klopp is doing a very good job of protecting him from himself. I'm seeing in the last few games he's kind of loosening the shackles a bit and allowing him a little bit more freedom than he was before. So it's nice to see that that part of his game is not being coached out of him.
Does it also feel like he's allowing Alexander Arnold a bit more freedom?
I think so. And I think the two of them are going to be the heartbeat of our team going forward. It will be nice to see Trent in the midfield at some point, and even the way he cut in today, something that you've been asking for many, many months now.
Hey, Klopp can call me. I've got these ideas before he has them. No problem. So, no, I agree. The way he cut in, and I remember I used to say I want to see Neco Williams more for that cut in, but it looks like Alexander Arnold's got it too.
And he does it so naturally too, right? So you can tell there's so much more to come from him in that aspect, because when he does it, it looks so effortless, almost like Jones.
Yeah, and so I guess here's the other thing that I would say. I've noticed in the last, I don't know, not few games, but maybe the last month or two, it does look like Alexander Arnold is changing a little bit in terms of what he brings in a very positive way. Not that he's as effective as he was before. All he would do was bomb down the side and throw it in the middle, and he was fantastic at it. No problem. But he's definitely shown more of his repertoire. Jones the same. And I would actually say, and you might think I'm nuts, I actually think Genie's been showing a bit more too.
Today he did. I was very happy with him today. He was very he was on the front foot, which was nice. He didn't do a lot of that. Oh, I have the ball. There's an open pass, but I'm just going to wait until I get attacked so I can show how strong I am type of thing. He didn't do any of that. He was always looking forward, which was nice. He got rid of the ball at the right time. Um, and he has that in him. I just think he plays too many games in general. And of course, because he plays so many games, he will have a lot of down off games as well. And when he does, I always pick on him, which is unfortunate, but that's just what I do.
Well, you know what? That's what we do, and at the end of the day, to some of that, it's Klopp for sure. But today was a good day from Genie, which again, think about it. We had 8 days rest, and Genie came out and looked strong. But it's also more in the case of like I also feel like he's gotten a lot more forward. He's more involved in the box. He's definitely starting to show some things that he wasn't necessarily showing earlier, which I'm really liking. Now, people who aren't showing stuff would be Salah, as you mentioned, on that chance that he had. I mean, I don't even know what to say about him anymore. That was just not a good look.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I don't know.
I don't think there's more. The only good thing I would say is he was legit angry later in the game when he had that chance to tuck it in.
That was nice to see.
Yeah, like he wasn't smiling, he wasn't playful, he wasn't like, man, I should have had that. He was like, there were swear words going off in his head for sure. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I want to see that. We need to see that more. There needs to be a hunger and an anger in that guy.
And I think the whole team today looked hurt. I'm sure it must hurt their pride that they couldn't even defend their title. Right, that they haven't won we haven't won in so many years, and we just kind of gave it up so easily. It can hurt your pride, and yeah, they should be coming out ready to destroy a team, because we are still Liverpool, and they still do have good players in their lineup in spite of the injuries, and we are still probably no, actually, we are still the second best team in this league in spite of our injuries, because I don't see anybody else that's close.
No, I mean, I think this week kind of showed it. Didn't everybody above us drop points?
Yes.
Literally everybody except Man City dropped points. So, we're right back into it. If I'm not mistaken, we've got Chelsea up next.
Yes.
And if we can beat them, then, Champions League's looking, like a pretty, I wouldn't say secure, but definitely, I'd put my money on making it the Champions League. But I mean, overall today, I don't know. Salah was okay, but didn't make enough of his opportunities. What'd you think of Mane?
I thought he was good. He was busy. He was everywhere, and he also looked pretty intense. He looked like he was angry, which is good. Good to see. Yeah, I don't think he took any shots though, did he?
I can't recall one, but he was definitely involved in there. Yeah. But I'll be honest, I think the most aggressive guy on our team going forward, I think, was Jones. And if you recall, in the 21st minute or 22nd minute or so, he had that cross coming in that he kind of took off the thigh and he almost got in.
Right.
Which, I don't know, I've watched that a few times, and if you told me that was a penalty, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can buy that. Because the defender made no play on the ball, didn't even put a foot out for the ball. He just straight grabbed an arm and pushed.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to what the defender was doing, so I'll have to watch that again.
Yeah, no, so the keeper played it as the keeper's supposed to, and the defender basically knew he was beat, so he grabbed his arm, pulled on the arm to get it closer, and then straight forearm pushed him out of the way.
I see.
So, I mean, again, it is a man's sport, but, I don't know. It comes back to, so I'm rewatching just after that at the 23rd minute where Thiago got called for a push in the back on a header,
which was foolish.
So it was slightly foolish, but I'm sorry, that happens 150 times a game. Like, there's far more contact than that the whole game. I don't understand. Like,
it's. You know what? It's one of those things, and it's too bad because McBurney, I think it was McBurney, right? He's tall and Thiago's short. So that same push, if it's not Phil's pushing into him, I don't think it's given because it just ends up being a shoulder to shoulder. But when somebody's pushing and you're behind as you're jumping, I mean, that is a foul. Right?
But he didn't jump.
Or
he stayed on the ground intentionally waiting for the contact and then went down when he felt it. So again, it's frustrating because that's kind of those like dives and stuff that we're clearly not doing. And I got to be honest on that one for Jones in the 22nd or 23rd minute in the box, if he had gone down trying to kick, there might have been a penalty called. And he should have definitely gone for it. And I'm not a fan of diving, but at this point, like we're hurting ourselves by not playing that game. Again, we didn't need it.
We try to do it, we just don't do it well.
No, Salah doesn't do it well.
Yeah,
Salah's literally the worst diver ever. Like every time he goes down, even when it's legit, he makes it look like it's a fake. He's got just the most bizarre way of doing it. But I mean, overall, you know, the defense held pretty well. I actually thought Kabak was a little bit rough, and he got called a couple times on a foul when guys kind of dove. And he's got to learn how to handle that better. So not that it's a real legit foul, but he's got to learn how to not get called for those.
Yeah.
Otherwise, defensively, I think he played well. He was in good position. I thought Nat Phillips was in good position. And frankly, when the headers come through, I definitely feel a lot better with them in the box.
Agreed. And it was interesting how they weren't trying to play like Van Dijk and Gomez, right? So it was just an old school defensive partnership. They were both all over the place. Sometimes Nat Phillips is on the right. Sometimes they're trying to head the same ball, right? It was just a very, okay, we're defenders. This is what we do. We're not going to try and be this person or that person. And I think that's what the season is called for right now.
Yeah, agreed. But I mean, I would like to see more of, them going for the same ball. That can't happen.
Yeah, they have to work that out. They have to figure that out for sure.
And I don't know. So I'm rewatching little piece of it. In the 26th minute, Jones had another very close chance that Sheffield took away. I think he was the most dangerous player we had today in terms of getting to the net, frankly. So I think he did great. But when it comes to, just the ones that got me is the one, I don't know if you remember, in the box in the first half where Thiago apparently went head to head with a defender who went and stayed down clutching his head.
Yes.
And on the instant replay, they showed there was no contact with the head.
Right.
Like
that happened another time with another defender.
It did.
Where I think it was with Mane. It looked like he was holding his head, but then he kind of barely touched his back.
Yeah.
So,
and like, I don't know what needs to be done, but that needs to be addressed. I don't know if VAR needs to come in and say there was no contact to the body part you were holding. That's an automatic yellow or red. I don't know if they need to do that. I don't know if they need to give post-match cards. I don't know, but that's just a terrible look. Like, my kids are watching with me and they're like, why is he holding his head, Daddy? Nobody hit him. And I'm like, that's a great point. I got nothing, right? If you, and again, my kids are young, but they kind of see through it, right? Yeah. So when they're like, why is that man being silly, Daddy? I got nothing. Because he's trying to fake the ref, sweetie. He's trying to work the system. Like, what am I going to say? So, so again, it happened a couple times today, which is why I brought it up. I didn't like that, as obvious, but I don't know what they do. But there needs to be something to address that. The other one that I wonder is, legitimately, if a guy gets hit in the head and goes down like that, shouldn't there be a protocol he's in as opposed to just getting right back up?
Yeah, that could be something that they do, just because I think that's why they started the whole thing about if the medical staff checks on you, then you have to walk.
You have to come off.
Yeah. So yeah, they can do something similar. I agree.
Like, if you go down holding your head, and again, I know that guys are faking, and I don't mean it as a punishment, but I genuinely mean it. If you go down holding your head, you need to be checked out.
Yeah.
Like, the game shouldn't continue. Like, this is real. I still remember, I'm trying to think, was it 2 years ago or something? Who was it? Maybe it was Tottenham in Champions League, where one of their players went down holding his head and then came back up and had to walk off.
Yeah. Vertonghen,
yeah.
Yeah, and he couldn't even, well, it's not even funny, but he couldn't even,
like, he came back on.
Yeah.
and like I got to be honest, that one. So first of all,
that was disgusting. Yeah,
we trash. I trash the refs. I won't say we because you're a better man than I am. I trash the refs a lot, but that ref literally went to like the coach, the player, the medical staff, and was like, "This guy doesn't look like he can come on. Are you sure he can come on?" So super props to the ref there. And yeah, he was basically heavily concussed walking back on. So it's no joke. Like you can get very hurt. So if a guy goes down holding the head, like again, I don't want to punish them, but if you really got hit in the head, that should be more serious. So
right.
I don't like, I mean, faking an injury is faking an injury, but holding your head can be really like a big problem. So
agreed.
Anyway, we'll get back to the game, but I mean, overall, a better game for us. I thought we did well in not trying to build up play, if you know what I mean. Like we weren't just passing, trying to fence them in like I feel like we've done in other games.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because Sheffield United just didn't sit back, but I don't understand why we can't just do this every game. I don't understand what the problem has been, right? Because even when we are passing today, there was intent, but in other games, it's because it looks like they don't know what to do, so they just keep passing. I don't think that they're trying to build up; they're just passing because there's nothing else happening. There's no movement.
I mean, I guess I'm thinking like maybe when we were playing today, we weren't taking like 30 passes to move it from the back to the front. We were taking like 3. And because of that, there was more space open. There were more options.
Right.
And I got to say, like, again, I don't know if it was Sheffield or just us, but I definitely like this a lot more. I mean, I can honestly say I haven't been super entertained watching a lot of Liverpool games lately. This one was entertaining.
This one was entertaining. It really was.
Like just as even if you're not a fan of either team, just watching, it was good. Liverpool dominated, yes.
There was a moment where I thought they were going to mess it up with VAR, where Kabak scored that own goal, and then the linesman raised his flag, and I thought, okay, you know what, they're going to find out that he wasn't offside, and they're actually going to give this goal because that's just what happens.
So I got to be honest. This is like, it feels like a bizarro week because Man U didn't get a penalty shot on a handball from they were playing Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
So Man U didn't get a penalty shot there, where by the way they didn't deserve it, but that's never stopped them before. So they didn't get it, and we didn't get screwed by VAR. So I actually thought what would happen was not only when I realized he was well offside, I'm like, okay, he's going to be offside. But I thought they'd say, well, Kabak put it in the net, so the offside doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. I thought they'll come up with some rule that I've never heard before where he wasn't interfering with play or something, just because that's just what happens to us.
That's been our season. But you know what? Today actually felt like the other way. Both of our goals were a bit of good fortune.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time we've had 2 pieces of good fortune in a game.
Did you think that ball was out from Trent?
Oh, no. When I saw it live, I'm like, that wasn't out. Then on the first replay, I'm like, oh, God, that was out. And then on the like end line replay, I'm like, oh, that was clearly in.
Yeah, because there was a white mark there, which kind of confused on the first replay. It looked like it was over the line, but it was a white mark. It wasn't the ball.
Yeah.
There was like some paint or something.
So but you know what? In all honesty, and I have to admit it, I'm now at the point where I don't celebrate goals, and it's too bad because both of them, I was worried there's something that'll take it away.
Yeah, exactly. The Jones one, I was thinking, okay, yeah, I'm sure it's over the line, even though I wasn't sure if VAR checks that, but I guess they do. I don't know why they don't check all over the lines, because that's an easy thing to check. But that's story.
But I mean, let's be honest. That finish from Jones.
Well, he's clinical, right? He's a footballer.
Well, hold on. We can't just say right because let's be honest. We don't have many clinical finishers on our team right now.
Yeah, true.
Although, I mean, speaking of a guy who's actually a pretty, or at least used to be a pretty clinical finisher, Ryan Brewster didn't make an appearance, which I thought was a little bit surprising.
Yeah, he's I fear for his career. I don't know if Sheffield was the right club for him. the way they played last season, I don't see how he fits into that team. So I don't know what they were thinking of when they bought him. And once they were in the relegation zone, you knew that they were just going to revert back to what they were good at or what they were comfortable with.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I also think he comes with a lot of pressure because he was I think the most expensive signing they've ever had.
Yeah, and he's only had 4 shots on target, which so that tells me, yeah, he just needs to play more and keep shooting, and he'll be fine, right?
Well, I mean, but that being said, Sheffield's been atrocious this year and are generating virtually nothing.
Yeah.
So, like, let's be clear today. You know, there was the chance that they had with the header in the first half, but beyond that, I mean, they weren't really generating a whole lot.
No, they have good lead up play with the crossing and just pulling you out of position with all their movement, but beyond that, it's too bad it didn't work out, because if it did, he is the type of class or potential class player that they need to add. Perhaps they should go for Origi instead.
I mean, I don't know. I think they need to decide how they want to play. You know, I feel like last year they were successful doing something. This year they're doing it a bit different, and just getting one guy isn't going to change your whole system.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, again, to their credit, they were game today. They didn't park the bus. They came out to try to play and score and win. And you know, that definitely made for a more entertaining game. It'd be great if we could have this more often.
I also like Keita's cameo.
Oh, did he look good when he came on for that little bit, eh?
Yeah. We've really been missing him. Imagine him. Well, I don't know who your 3 are for Chelsea, but for sure, I just hope, and I don't think he will, but I hope Jones plays.
I've already told you, Jones in the number 9.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but it's not going to happen. But I do agree. Who do you pick for Chelsea? Jones, Wijnaldum.
Oh, in the middle? Oh,
Yeah.
Klopp will run it back. We won the game, so Klopp will run it back. That's his default.
I hope he does. This is actually a time that I hope he does.
I don't know. I'm wondering if he might get a little bit worried on the defensive end.
Against Chelsea?
Yeah. And my worry is he going to try to force Fabinho in there or something?
I know. See, that's the thing. From now to the end of the season, I don't want to see any more midfielders back there. I think we should just go with what we have. But you know, who knows what Klopp will do.
Like, it's not that I don't think Fabinho is a better player than Kabak or Phillips, but he's just not a central defender.
No, he's not a defender now.
And it'd be different if maybe he had the crazy speed that would, you know, the Gomez speed that would make up for mistakes, but he doesn't.
Right.
Is he faster than Nat Phillips? Maybe, but not by so much that I feel.
I even doubt that.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So I've never seen them in a foot race, but both of them, if they're beat, they're beat. Like, they're not reeling you back.
Yeah, and Nat Phillips at least has more hustle about him.
That's true. Fabinho's a bit casual.
Yeah.
And again, that's because he's a midfielder.
Right.
So I hope, to your point, I hope they stay with those two at the back. It also kind of very much depends on which Chelsea team we get, because they can be a bit of Jekyll and Hyde sometimes.
That's true. He may go with the height with Giroud or all those little skillful players running around all over the place.
And they also have good days and bad days. So there are also days where, you know, they look like world beaters, and there are days that they look like they should be relegated.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully we get one of the not as good days, I guess. But I mean, a game like today is exactly what the doctor ordered. Definitely gets us back into the race in terms of, you know, where we are and position. You know, in terms of the table, we're now, you know, 2 points behind fourth. even though Everton and Aston Villa have games in hand, so theoretically they could pass us. But we're definitely in a much better position than we were at the beginning of the weekend in terms of making Champions League. And I feel like we definitely built something in terms of getting some of our confidence back.
And I think that's the more important piece. Of course, the points are important right now, but just a reminder to the team that they can still have a successful season if they finish top 4 and win, or at least advance to the semis of the Champions League. I'd be okay with that.
Oh, I don't even need semis. I think we beat Leipzig, make it into the final 8, and make Champions League. Anything beyond that is gravy. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. It also depends who we draw in the 8.
Would you want to draw Man City?
No.
Why?
Because we're not beating them.
Over 2 legs?
Over 2 legs.
I'd say anything can happen.
I'd say anything can happen, but there are easier teams that I'm not as afraid of. Look, right now, as Klopp would say, Man City's in a moment. and you don't want to play a team in a moment.
Yeah, but the quarters aren't for like a good month, I think.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If we drew Man City in the quarters and beat them, then I think, Klopp will just build up residence in Pep's head. Like, I literally think that might break Pep. So I kind of want to see that for that reason, but I'd rather us go further. And I question whether we could beat Man City right now.
I say that we have a better chance of, or I feel more confident playing Man City than any other team that will be left, because there are only good teams right now anyway. And with Man City, at least I know that they can raise their game in a way that there's no guarantees they would against another team.
Well, there are some teams. So I don't think we want Bayern.
No.
But, Porto might take it.
Yeah. That's the kind of team that...
Chelsea, Dortmund.
I don't want Chelsea for the same reason that Man City probably don't want us. The last thing you want to do is lose to Chelsea, to an English team.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do suspect that, Man City might be a good one a little bit just because of the mental aspect. But honestly, I'd rather not get them. For right now, we're up 2-0 in the first leg, so we're doing well in that. And I think the real focus needs to be on Chelsea. Because if we can beat Chelsea, then all of a sudden we jump them in the standings. We're automatically into 5th place.
Yeah.
If West Ham can happen to lose, we'd get into 4th, and then we would just be looking at holding our position the rest of the season. So, to me, that's the one. In terms of today's game, coming back to that, so who did you think the man of the match is? Do I even need to ask?
No, I don't think you need to ask.
So, Wonder Kid Jones is man of the match. Anybody who didn't think he was man of the match didn't watch. So fantastic, played amazing. Again, to me, is really showing the type of skills that I kind of really want to see what he would do in the number 9. I think he's got the vision, the footwork, the flicks, the shot, the instinct to make that a good position for him. And he's also got that good midfield feel, like where Firmino would come back into the midfield to get the ball. Jones is clearly comfortable in the midfield too.
One person that I wasn't impressed with, and he didn't have a bad game, but he really needs a break, is Robertson. He at this point, as much as I know I've said in the past that you can't really afford to take him out, but he really needs a break. And whether it's against Chelsea or another team, in fact, I think maybe Chelsea might be the right game to take him out, because the rest of the players should be able to raise their game. The last thing you want to do is take him out against a low team, because you don't know what state the rest of the players will be in. But against Chelsea, I think everybody should bring their A game. So that might be a good one to just have him sit.
Well, it was interesting today. He seemed much more active in the first half.
Yeah.
Going down the line. And then by the time the second half rolled around, I almost don't remember him going down the line.
Yeah, he took a couple of bizarre shots, and that weird header that he headed
Oh,
around.
Man. I mean, I don't know if he's just not good at it, or like he's just, to your point, he's been played so much. He's not mentally quite right. But I mean, I agree with you. I think Chelsea would be a great chance for him to take a break.
To sit, yeah.
You know, Chelsea has some dangerous attackers, and I would almost say that Tsimikas as a defender is probably as good and definitely more physical.
Yeah.
So in a way, I wouldn't mind seeing him against Chelsea. But no, he was kind of, okay at the beginning, not so good later. I think Alexander-Arnold too was a little bit lost almost at times today. He did look better going forward than he has in the past, but he's definitely had to change his game because there's no point in crossing into the box anymore. So he looks like he's kind of relearning a bit of what to do. He's not just running straight down the line.
And that was nice to see today too. Yeah, we didn't have any of those crosses into the box.
Yeah, because I mean, who's heading them? What's the point?
Yeah.
So, overall, I think the team played well. Again, I would say Firmino, Salah, and Mane just weren't up to the task. They didn't acquit themselves particularly well. But otherwise, I thought the team played extremely well and set a great tone for Chelsea midweek to try to get that fourth place spot for Champions League.
For more stories, analysis, and articles, go to theforensiccop.com website.